Discover how an incredible chance encounter with a Mafia boss transformed her life forever. The rain fell in relentless sheets, transforming the cracked pavement into a canvas of glistening reflections. Jenna trudged out of the diner, her mind still swirling with the buzz of caffeine and the misery of grading a stack of unenthusiastic lab reports. The heavy door swung shut behind her, muffling the warm chatter and leaving her alone in the damp, chilly air. She blinked against the downpour, looking down the street that felt as deserted as her career aspirations. In that moment, life's weight pressed harder on her shoulders, her parents' expectations 1,000 voices echoing in her mind: you have to do better, you must succeed. As she stepped off the curb, she collided with a figure emerging from the shadows in electrifying contrast to the rain-soaked world she inhabited. Leo, with a tailored suit and an air of unshakable confidence, radiated charisma. His dark eyes sparkled, capturing her attention instantly. He asked her about her passion for teaching as if it was the most interesting topic he'd encountered, and for the first time in years, Jenna felt a flicker of validation. But there was danger in those eyes, and her heart raced with the thrilling combination of fear and intrigue. As days turned into weeks, their conversations turned deeper, rooted in shared dreams of community improvement. Leo's vision ignited a spark inside her. However, that fire came with scorching implications. What if you could be so much more than this? He suggested one evening, as raindrops danced against the diner windows. The thought sent a thrill rushing through her, but reminders of her parents' sacrifices anchored her. What if this opportunity meant betraying their values? Could she truly envision a future painted in hues of ambition and risk when her current reality was a fading black and white? Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Every time she stepped into Leo's realm, a part of her danced with excitement, while another part recoiled in horror. Rumors began to surface about Leo's illegal dealings, whispering questions that curdled her stomach. Was she complicit now? The thrill of feeling valued was entwined with the anxiety of how far she was willing to go for it. Under the fluorescent lights of her classroom, Jenna would catch herself staring at the students, their futures resting in her hands, and ponder whether she was abandoning them for a seductive fantasy. As doubt crept in like the autumn chill, she stumbled upon hidden letters in Leo's office notes that unraveled the truth about his dealings, unveiling a web of deception and danger. A shadow of a choice loomed over her, suffocating her with its gravity: protect the man who saw her worth or uphold the decency ingrained in her by her parents. Each heartbeat felt like a ticking clock, the seconds counting down to an inevitable decision that threatened to slice through the thin fabric of her world. The rain continued to pour, matching the tempest within her. Staring at the unyielding diner sign flickering above, Jenna felt the future stretch before her, disintegrating and morphing, leaving her suspended between dreams and reality, freedom and obligation. A heaviness settled over Jenna as she paced back and forth in her small apartment, the dampness outside mirroring the discord within. The letters she had discovered still lay on her kitchen table, their words haunting her thoughts. Leo's casual charm had entwined itself in her heart, but that allure now felt laced with dark implications. Each letter was a thread unraveling the tapestry of her newfound hopes. Could she trust him? Could she step deeper into the shadows that threatened to engulf her? The very essence of who she was, her dedication to teaching, her parents' sacrifices, her sense of moral integrity clashed violently with the intoxicating possibilities Leo presented. Every question spiraled into a torrent of doubt, pulling her down. As she revisited each beautifully penned note, Jenna felt an unsettling tension coil in her gut. Did Leo genuinely wish to uplift the community, or was this just a mask for something far less noble? The picture he painted of influencing lives in meaningful ways now appeared smeared with grime. She envisioned her students, their earnest faces bright with potential, and a wave of resolve surged with fierce clarity. Not long after, she made a decision she could not hide from the truth any longer. The next day, with the rain still drizzling its melancholic soundtrack, she ventured back to the diner. She needed answers. She needed confrontation. With a racing heart, she approached Leo, who was seated at their usual booth. His expression, warm and inviting, drew her in, but she stood firm. "We need to talk, Leo," she said, her voice trembling slightly, though conviction anchored her spine. He looked up, surprise flickering for just a moment before that charming grin appeared. "Of course, Jenna. What's on your mind?" The way he leaned closer, conspiratorial yet playful, made her pulse race, but this time with a different kind of determination. "No more games. I found the letters. I can't ignore what they mean. It's not just business, is it? You're not just a businessman. You're involved in something dangerous." The air thickened between them as Leo's demeanor shifted, the charm giving way to a steelier gaze. "You shouldn't be involved in things you don't understand," he replied, the playful tone now laced with a warning. Every instinct screamed for her to retreat, yet she pressed on. "But I do understand. I understand I can't participate in this. It compromises everything I believe in." As she spoke, Jenna felt an unfamiliar strength swell within her. The fears that once shackled her wavered. "I believed you saw potential in helping people, but this is not how you do that." The words poured out, raw and cathartic, cutting through the tension in the booth. Leo's silence stretched painfully, and she noticed the shift in his posture. For the first time, he seemed vulnerable, not the untouchable figure of power she had learned to navigate. This glimpse of humanity stirred something in her. Perhaps there was still a chance for Leo to step back, to rediscover who he had once aspired to be. "Why do you care, Jenna? You have so much more to lose than I do," Leo challenged, the challenge burning through the air. "Because I know what hope feels like, Leo. And I know what it means to help others, not destroy them." A long pause lingering in the space between them begged for resolution. Jenna sensed the tension build, like the storm gathering outside, the clouds heavy and pregnant with possibility. Yet inside, she felt a glimmer of potential turning point. Would Leo confront the darkness to reclaim the person she believed still existed within him? Or would he choose the shadows over the light? As the storm raged outside, so too did the tempest of her heart. A decision loomed over them, with consequences that would ripple far beyond their immediate reality. The time had come to face the truth, but she could not do it alone. The tension hung thick, an invisible shroud that enveloped them as Jenna lingered on the precipice of a choice that would define her future. Leo's stoic silence, a barrier between two worlds, weighed heavily on her thoughts. Doubt and determination danced, competing for dominance in her mind. Jenna ran her fingers through her hair, a nervous habit she hadn't indulged in for years. Her role as an educator had always equipped her with the ability to navigate difficult conversations with poise and clarity. Yet here, in this moment, she felt like a novice. "You need to choose, Leo. Help those in need or continue down this path that leads to destruction," she firmly added, her heart racing against the echoes of his challenge. His expression hardened again, the warmth for moments before fading like the afternoon light. "You think it's that simple, don't you? You don't understand the stakes involved." The bite in his voice struck Jenna sharply. "Then explain it to me. Help me understand. I want to know why you chose this life," she urged, her voice firm but still laced with compassion. She believed in his potential even now, despite everything. What she sensed in him was not merely a conflict but a clash of ideals. Here was a man who perhaps, beneath the bravado, was torn between his aspirations and a life that dictated a different reality. Jenna could feel her resolve solidify. This was a turning point, not just for Leo, but for herself as well. "Are you willing to risk everything for people who may not even want your help?" He pressed, voice low and dangerous. "And by what right will you deny them that help?" Jenna countered, adrenaline surging. "If you believe they want something better, then why turn a blind eye? Each word was a step deeper into uncharted territory, and she felt the weight of her convictions buoy her resolve. Leo leaned back, contemplating her words while reminding Jenna of the potent mix of fear and fascination they had once shared. The shadows loomed larger, threatening to drown out the remnants of light in his eyes, but she needed to illuminate his path. "Look, Leo, you can't make this decision alone. Even the strongest individuals need support. I'm here to help if you let me." For a moment, a flicker of uncertainty crossed his face, but it vanished as quickly as it appeared. "Help? You think you can change anything?" The hint of mockery in his tone cut deep. "Yes. If you can acknowledge your fear that decisions are already made for you, then together we can rewrite what those decisions mean," Jenna replied, her pulse quickening. She remembered the determination she cultivated in her classroom, inspiring young minds to think critically despite their circumstances. Now, all that strength felt channeled directly into persuading this man who stood at a crossroads. The air between them crackled with the threat of bold transformation, yet its potency was entwined with danger. As silence enveloped them once more, Jenna saw a flicker of vulnerability surface. Maybe it was fear of the unknown, or perhaps a glimmer of hope against the dark tide. "Join me, then," Leo finally said, voice low and uncertain, the steel in him loosening. "Come into this world, truly. You'll see more than just letters, you'll see power and consequences." Jenna hesitated not at the prospect of joining him but at the sheer weight of what he was offering. Would understanding his world compromise her values, or could it empower her to effect change from within? Each path diverged dramatically, enveloping her in the very same doubts she worked so hard to overcome. "Are you willing to meet the darkest shadows?" she questioned, steeling herself against the tension that threatened to snap. "As long as you're by my side," he replied, his gaze steady and unwavering. Jenna's heart hammered. This was not just a simple decision, it was a perilous step into the unknown, forcing her to confront her own boundaries of morality and resolve. As the rain began to intensify outside, pounding against the diner windows, Jenna faced a revelation this journey could reshape not just Leo but herself. The moment held weight, teetering on the edge of a new beginning or a devastating end. Jenna took a deep breath, reminding herself that change often required stepping into the fire. "Then let us face it together," she replied, her heart racing with the audacity of hope. Yet as she pondered the implications of their choices, a chilling thought crept into her mind: what if in saving him, she lost herself? The turning point situated them both precariously between salvation and ruin. In that electric moment, Jenna and Leo stood on the brink of a life-altering partnership, an alliance forged in uncertainty that could redefine everything they understood about themselves. But as the storm outside raged, another question loomed in the shadows: was she truly prepared for the darkness that awaited them both? The diner buzzed with muffled conversations, but Jenna felt ensconced in a world that belonged only to her and Leo. The rain drummed against the window, its rhythmic cadence mirroring the tumult in her mind. The offer he made hung between them, heavy and charged with possibility. As the initial shock faded, Jenna realized this wasn't merely a choice about Leo. It was about her identity and purpose, the core of her existence she had meticulously crafted over years of dedication. She had been a beacon of hope for her students, someone who believed in forging paths through adversity. But now, standing at the edge of the unknown, she questioned if her values could withstand the tempest that was brewing. "All right," she said at last, her voice breaking the silence like a stone thrown into still water. "I'll go with you. But on one condition: we do it my way. No shortcuts and no risking innocent lives." Leo raised an eyebrow, surprise flashing across his face. "Your way?" "Yes, my way." The conviction stood firm in her voice, yet doubt brushed her heart. "I need to believe that change is possible without losing ourselves in the process. I can't help others if I abandon my own principles." His expression softened, perhaps for the first time. "You really think you can hold on to your light in a place like this?" "I have to believe that. Otherwise, what is the point?" The moment she uttered the words, doubt unfurled its claws, attempting to drag her under. Could she maintain her moral compass amid the corruption and chaos Leo suggested were waiting? That's a dangerous belief, Jenna, Leo cautioned, his tone shifting. In this world, ideals are currency, and you risk a steep price. Then I'll pay it, she asserted, shock at her own words echoing in her mind. Would she truly stand her ground amidst the wreckage? With a nod, Leo leaned closer, the distance between them shrinking. Then let us begin with the basics. You don't need to worry about losing yourself. A little darkness can teach you how to navigate shadows. Jenna shivered, a blend of fear and excitement coursing through her. She realized this wasn't just about trying to save Leo, it was a quest for her own hidden strength, an exploration of what she was truly capable of achieving. Each step she'd taken thus far granted her more insight, revealing layers within herself she hadn't known existed. Show me then, she said, a defiance budding as she locked eyes with him. Show me how to confront this darkness while keeping my convictions intact. His lips curled into a half-smile, a sign of acceptance, but she sensed a hint of wariness lingering beneath the surface. The path they were about to tread was fraught with unseen dangers, and she needed to prepare. As they walked out of the diner, stepping into the storm that seemed to echo the turmoil inside her, Jenna felt acutely aware of her surroundings. A sudden clarity washed over her, as if the rain washed away not just the exterior but her anxieties too. Would she keep her heart intact while delving into a world that revels in chaos? The streets glistened slick under the neon lights, revealing more than just shadows. They exposed raw truths about her willpower. She felt the vibrations of uncertainty dance in her chest. With every confident step alongside Leo, she discovered the woman she was destined to become. Where do we start? She asked, her breath coming a little quicker as they crossed the threshold into a realm that buzzed with energy and risk. First, you need to meet someone who will teach you about the stakes involved, Leo replied, an underlying tension in his voice that hinted at deeper complexities. Jenna's pulse quickened, the anticipation of the unknown swirling with trepidation. Who was this person? What would she learn that would challenge her so deeply? The storm continued to rage above, but a fire ignited within her. She was no longer merely an observer of her fate, she was actively participating in a narrative that could change the course of her life forever. But as she turned to Leo, determination in her heart, another question lurked. In the depths of her mind, what if this world taught her more than just survival? What if it also revealed truths about humanity she was not yet ready to confront? The city unfolded into a dizzying mix of shadows and light, pulsating with life that Jenna had only observed from afar. The rain, now a drizzle, left slick surfaces beneath their feet, reflecting the kaleidoscope of neon signs that called out from the buildings. Tonight marked the beginning of Jenna's plunge into this new world of uncertainty and moral ambiguity, yet every fiber of her being vibrated with determination. What's his name again? She inquired, her voice steady despite the butterflies raging in her stomach. Vincent, Leo replied, glancing around as if ensuring no one overheard them. The man you need to know if you want to grasp the true stakes. Vincent, she echoed, tasting the name, its resonance laced with power and danger. She caught Leo's guarded glance, he held a protective edge, encasing her in a bubble of reassurance that felt increasingly fragile with every step. Leo, why him? Why not start with someone less intense? The last word felt inadequate to describe the weight she sensed from the mere mention of Vincent. You'll need a mentor who understands the game. Trust me, he's the only one who can prepare you for what's coming. Leo's tone exuded an urgency that was hard to ignore, but a trickle of doubt crept in. What if she wasn't ready for this guy? Pushing the uncertainty aside, they navigated narrow alleys and flickering street lamps, Jenna's heart racing. Every breath drew them closer to this pivotal encounter that could alter her life's trajectory. What would she learn? Arriving at a small, inconspicuous nightclub, the sound of muffled music seeped through the walls, a stark contrast to the silence she now felt pooling in her mind. Leo turned to her, the intensity in his eyes profound. Remember, keep your guard up. He'll push you. Push how? She hadn't come to run away from challenges, she decommitted to facing them head-on. "You'll see." Leo stepped back, preparing to introduce her, but Jenna hesitated. "Wait." She felt the moment settle heavily upon her. "How do I stand firm in my beliefs here? What if he tries to manipulate me?" The words tumbled out, driven by a blend of fear and fervor. "Manipulation is part of the game," he replied. "But remember, you're not here to lose yourself. Just stay true to what you believe in. Your strength will be your shield." Inhale. Exhale. Jenna nodded, summoning her resolute spirit. "Then let us do this." The bouncer eyed them and unceremoniously waved them inside. The atmosphere thickened as they entered. An undercurrent of excitement and danger surged through the air, wrapping around Jenna like a cloak. Her senses sharpened, every beat of the music echoed what she found in herself, a mix of courage and trepidation. They moved toward a private booth at the far corner, the air heavy with expectation and a thick fog of smoke. There he was, Vincent. His presence commanded the room, both intimidating and magnetic. He leaned back, a casual ease betraying the underlying intensity of someone who was no stranger to power. "Ah, Leo," Vincent greeted, his voice smooth like velvet yet laced with authority. But he turned his dark gaze toward Jenna, appraising. "And you must be Jenna. I've heard about your little escapades." "Escapades?" She raised an eyebrow, maintaining her composure despite the shiver that crawled up her spine. Vincent smiled enigmatically. "I admire a woman who's made choices others might shy away from. Tell me, what do you seek in this chaos?" Her heart raced at that moment as she realized this was a window into a darker side of herself she had yet to confront. "I want to understand the rules of this world, and how to navigate it without losing myself." There it was, a challenge laid at her feet. As their eyes locked, she felt something shift in the air, a distinct challenge, as if Vincent could see straight through her. Would she back down, or embrace the unknown? "I like your spirit," he mused. "But spirits must be tempered in fire." Jenna swallowed hard, aware she was standing at an intersection of possibility and peril. Could she withstand what was about to come? Feeling an unfamiliar spark igniting within, she knew one thing: there was no turning back now. As the tension rose around them, Jenna's resolve solidified. The stakes had just escalated, and she sensed this encounter would redefine her understanding of strength and resolve. It could mold her into exactly who she needed to become, or expose what she was unwilling to face. What had she stepped into? The real game had just begun, with Vincent holding the pieces. Jenna would need to confront not just external challenges but the darkest facets of her beliefs. How would she respond when the shadows of her convictions were tested? Would she find a way to harness her light amid the darkness? Jenna sat across from Vincent, the dim light casting long shadows that mimicked her anxious intertwining thoughts. An invisible thread linked them in that moment, one of challenge and anticipation. This man had the power to change everything. But what exactly did she want to change? Clarity eluded her, dancing just out of reach like the shimmering lights of the club. Vincent leaned forward, the weight of his presence solidifying the air around her. "So, you want to navigate chaos. It's not just about survival, it's about making it work for you." He let the words hang, watchful eyes piercing through her bravado. "Then teach me," Jenna replied, forcing the tremor from her voice. There was an urgency beneath her words, a longing not just to survive but to thrive in this unfamiliar territory. "Teach you?" he echoed, a hint of amusement creeping into his tone. "You're asking for a map, but maps are forged in experience, not given freely." His challenge ignited something within her, a fierce determination that countered the flutter of apprehension. "What do you want from me?" she countered, surprising herself with her boldness. Vincent's smile widened, revealing a magnetic charm. "I want you to understand the stakes. If you wish to play in this world, you must first see it for what it is. Power fuels this engine, and only those who embrace its dark intricacies can steer it." Jenna's heart raced. Could she handle such raw power? Was this really the path she was ready to forge? The question gnawed at her resolve. Remember this, Jenna, Vincent continued, his voice dropping to a low, almost conspiratorial whisper. Strength is not just about knowing how to confront the darkness, it's about understanding when to wield your light. Do you know where your light stands? The concept of her light, her core beliefs, the values she's carried struck a chord of resonance in her gut. The questions swirled in her mind. What did her beliefs consist of? What was she willing to fight for? As she sat, the stakes crystallized. If she wanted to navigate this world, she would need to probe into herself, confront her core identity, and reinforce it against manipulation. Are you prepared to test those beliefs? Vincent queried, an intensity returning to his gaze. It was a challenge, an invitation to a deeper battle that was entirely different from the external confrontations she anticipated. More than ever, she confirmed, surprising herself with the steady conviction in her voice. Vincent nodded, a flicker of approval in his expression. Then let us see how deep your roots go. Over the next few weeks, I will introduce you to my world. You'll witness the underbelly of this city, the den of ambition, betrayal, and sacrifice. Jenna's pulse quickened, a blend of fear and excitement coursing through her veins. What do you mean by deeper roots? What will I face? Vincent reclined back into the booth, hands steepled beneath his chin. Let us start with the first lesson, every decision holds weight. You'll need to navigate your path with strategy, aligning your desires with the landscape around you. She studied him, intrigued but wary. Navigating through this unfamiliar terrain demanded more than mere ambition, it required a keen sense of strategy. The prospect of grappling with her beliefs and choices against the complex backdrop of Vincent's world loomed before her ominously. Don't just accept what you're shown, he pressed. Question everything. Discover your own narratives. Only then can you emerge not just willing to play, but to win. Her breathing steadied as his words began to take root. The challenge was not merely to adapt but to become something more, a version of herself that wielded understanding over chaos. As Jenna sat reflecting on her awakening, a sense of possibility enveloped her, drumming in time with the deep beats of the music reverberating around them. She felt herself tilting toward a powerful understanding of her agency. With each lesson Vincent promised, she knew confrontation awaited her, not just with the men surrounding her but with her own internal battles. The ambiguity of her path loomed, but so did the power of self-discovery. You must choose your battles wisely, Jenna. The time will come when your convictions will be tested. You might find the very things you hold dear will either be reinforced or shattered. The looming shadows of doubt flickered close, but Jenna felt a resolve hardening within her. What if she could emerge from this unscathed, stronger, not just a player but a strategist? As the night unfurled around them, with neon lights shimmering like stars against the disarray, Jenna prepared for the challenges ahead. Ready or not, the crucible had begun. What transformations would this experience demand? And as Vincent's enigmatic figure guided her through the chaos, she sensed the chilling embrace of something inevitable. A confrontation with herself was on the horizon. How far was she willing to push, and would it ultimately lead her to liberation or destruction? Jenna awoke the next morning with Vincent's words echoing in her mind. The sunlight filtered through her blinds, coaxing her from the depths of restless dreams. Was she truly ready for this journey? The ambiguity of her ambitions thrummed in her chest, conflicting thoughts weaving a tight web around her resolve. She dressed with mechanical precision, her thoughts a tangled mess of uncertainties and fierce determination. Each article of clothing she donned became a piece of armor: indigo blazer for confidence, crisp white blouse for clarity, tailored trousers for strength. As she caught her reflection in the mirror, however, the mask of confidence shattered momentarily. A questioning gaze stared back. Was she becoming a better version of herself or simply donning the robes of a facade? The distinction felt vital in this nascent phase. The first day with Vincent arrived, and the anticipation curled within her like smoke from a flickering flame. They met in a bustling cafe, a world apart from the quiet shadows of the club. There, Jenna felt the tremors of an emerging strategy coiling around her thoughts. "Sit close," Vincent instructed, his presence both commanding and captivating. The cafe buzzed around them, an orchestra of voices and clinking dishes, but for Jenna, all noise faded into a backdrop to her nerves. "Today, we assess your strengths," he said, turning a cup of steaming coffee between his fingers. "Tell me about your ideals, your values, your truths. What shapes the roots of your character?" The question hung in the air, a silent menace. She hesitated, her thoughts racing to her upbringing, her relationships, her beliefs. Should she reveal her vulnerability? "I believe in integrity," she began, her voice a thread of tentative strength woven into the loud environment. "Trust is paramount to me. I believe in honesty, in maintaining a code of ethics even if it's more challenging." Vincent raised an eyebrow, his expression a mix of intrigue and skepticism. "Integrity is admirable, but in this world, it can be a vice. Ask yourself, what does integrity cost you? And who decides the terms of that cost?" The questions hit her like a cold wave. Had her ideals ever been a burden to her progress? Were there moments when her moral compass had acted in opposition to her development? The uncertainty of her convictions rattled her insides. To survive, did she need to redefine her morals? As they continued the conversation, Vincent guided her through hypothetical scenarios, each one probing deeper into her motives and challenges. "Imagine you're facing a competitor undermining your reputation. How do you respond?" "I would confront them," she replied, but her voice faltered. The reality forced her to confront the age-old dilemma of the good versus the expedient. Was direct confrontation always the solution? "Consider that you might break trust in pursuing personal victories." He leaned closer, pinning her with an unwavering stare. "These lessons are not just about learning to win, they are about learning to navigate the very soul of competitive humanity. What if being feared was more advantageous than being trusted?" She sat in silence, grappling with the tension stretching between her conscience and ambition. Vincent's perspective unsettled her. She had always assumed the moral high ground would shield her, but perhaps maintaining her ethical stance was a gamble she could no longer afford. In that swirling cafe, Jenna felt a shift inside her, a newfound hunger for understanding not just her strengths, but her potential weaknesses. The inkling of insight drifted into her consciousness. To thrive in this world, she would need more than just values, she needed a strategy that allowed her to stay true to herself while navigating dangerous waters. As the meeting concluded and she parted ways with Vincent, Jenna's heart raced with exhilaration and dread. An awakening had transpired, every step ahead demanded scrutiny of her convictions. Even as clarity eluded her, a determination crystallized within. She couldn't ignore the expanding horizon of possibilities. Would she be able to wield her ethical beliefs while embracing the darker nuances of power? The moment of reckoning drew closer, and she sensed that every choice from this point onward demanded strategic consideration. She felt the weight of her choices bearing down as she began her walk home, emotions intertwined, tension sparking the genesis of transformation. The streets around her pulsed with a heartbeat that felt in sync with her own resolve. How deep did her roots run, and were they sturdy enough to withstand the upheaval she knew was coming? One thing was certain, she was no longer merely a survivor in this labyrinth. The real game had just begun. Where would her next move take her? As Jenna walked through the late afternoon streets, she could feel the weight of Vincent's words lingering, clawing at her thoughts. The world buzzed around her, but she felt alone in the cacophony, marinating in a stew of ambition, dread, and the insistent call of her virtues. She had set bridges alight, relationships might falter as she renegotiated her path. With every step, the stakes crystallized. An unexpected chill coursed through her as her mental inventory of potential strategies began to take form. She recognized that her upbringing had crafted a polite facade, one that had served her in the predictable confines of her old life. However, the arena that now beckoned was perilous and unyielding. She realized she needed to explore every corner of her resolve. That evening, the dull gray skies transformed into a cascade of oranges and purples as the sun dipped below the horizon. She settled at her kitchen table, open notebook and pen in hand, a sanctuary to deconstruct her thoughts. Jenna needed to explore the ethical implications of her ambitions, a map to navigate the treacherous waters laying ahead. She wrote with intensity. Integrity versus ambition, she penned in bold letters at the top of the page, the ink staining the paper like a mark of rebellion. From there, a torrent of thoughts streamed forth. What did ambition demand in her circumstances? Sacrifice? Betrayal? Would it be worth sacrificing the trust of those around her for a fleeting moment of victory? Each word she wrote etched a deeper doubt in her heart. But she couldn't ignore another growing realization: beneath her moral values lay a reservoir of untapped potential. She had always dismissed her instincts for self-preservation as being selfish, but perhaps they were not, after all. Jenna began to scribble down her skills: negotiation, emotional intelligence, an innate understanding of others' motivations. Each competency felt like a key, one that could unlock doors previously thought impenetrable. With newfound resolve, she surveyed the list, but a gnawing question nagged her: how could she harness these skills without compromising her integrity? The door she sought might require a different approach, one that danced on the precipice of shadow and light. Days turned into a week of exploration, sessions with Vincent sharpening her focus. He encouraged her to engage with the intricacies of her persona, to envision herself as a strategist rather than merely a player. Each discussion unearthed layers she had long buried, illuminating possibilities that had once terrified her. At times, she would freeze, caught in the delicate balance of what she could become versus who she wanted to remain. She felt the excitement of transformation coursing through her. One evening, as she left a meeting with Vincent, she encountered a group gathered in hushed tones. Curiosity ignited, she edged closer. "He'll make them an offer they can't refuse," a voice murmured. Jenna peered through the crowd, her heart racing as she caught sight of an imposing figure, an unmistakable presence with sharp features that commanded attention. It was Luca Delaney, a name whispered in both reverence and fear. Jenna had heard stories about the undercurrents of the city's darker dealings, but to be in the same vicinity as someone like him sent shivers down her spine. Yet, beneath the trepidation, Jenna felt a shift, a pull toward the unknown potential this moment could present. In a flurry of self-awareness, she understood that her next steps could either bind her to the foundations of her integrity or throw her into the depths of moral ambiguity. An opportunity shimmered before her, tantalizingly close. What would she choose, standing at this crossroads? As she caught Luca's gaze, a wave of adrenaline surged through her. This was more than a chance encounter, it could be her gateway into a realm of influence. But at what cost? With every heartbeat, Jenna knew she was approaching a defining moment that would shape the very fabric of her future. What had she set in motion, and would it lead to her evolution or her demise? The game was no longer merely a battle against herself, it involved navigating a delicate dance with the very essence of power. The challenge loomed ahead: would she dare to engage with the darkness that surrounded a player like Luca Delaney? The answer lay just beyond her reach, waiting for her decision. Jenna stood frozen for a heartbeat, the tension between her ambitions and moral compass palpable. Luca's presence was magnetic, drawing her in and compelling her to confront the very ambitions she had tried to scrutinize at her kitchen table. This wasn't merely an encounter, it felt like fate itself had thrust an unexpected opportunity into her path, cloaked in danger and temptation. Her instincts screamed caution even as her mind raced to strategize. What could she possibly say to a man like him, someone so embedded in the shadows of power? The stories that filled her mind clashed violently with the emerging visions of her future, one where she wielded influence and command. As if reading her thoughts, Luca's calculating gaze locked onto hers, anchoring her in a moment that felt surreal. There was a flicker of acknowledgement in his eyes, a recognition of shared ambition that made her pulse quicken. Could this be a moment where she unveiled her strength? But who was she kidding? She was still the girl who had relied on the niceties learned over the years, the polite facade that had barely scratched the surface of her potential. This game was ruthless, and she needed to redefine her approach if she were to step into this new arena. She pushed through the swell of doubt, summoning the assertiveness that her sessions with Vincent had coaxed from deep within. Jenna took a step forward, narrowing the physical gap between them, fueled by a sudden clarity. "I overheard you talking," she said, her voice steadier than she felt. "What kind of offer are you making?" The corner of Luca's mouth quirked up slightly, an expression reminiscent of a predator sizing up its prey. "Boldness suits you," he replied, the words delivering a dual-edged compliment. "It's rare to find someone willing to engage without fear." Was it fear or wisdom holding her back? She wasn't sure anymore, and that discrepancy propelled her forward. "I'm not afraid of those who play the game," she responded, biting off the last few words. She surprised herself with her confidence, realizing she was no longer just playing a role, she was asserting her identity. Luca tilted his head slightly, studying her. "Is that so? Ambition can lead to unexpected places, Jenna. Power can uplift or destroy. What are you truly after?" His question hung in the air, heavy with implications. This was the moment of truth she had prepared for yet knew she must tread carefully. "I want to establish myself in this world, but I know there's a cost. I'm looking for direction, not destruction." Past experiences flashed before her, a cautious mindset with limits constructed to protect her from losing herself. Yet here she was, standing on the precipice of a choice that could shatter those very boundaries. Luca's eyes glinted with intrigue. "You already have a talent for negotiation, I see. A talent that could be put to better use. Join me, and you'll discover layers of this game that most remain oblivious to." He leaned closer, and his voice dropped to a conspiratorial tone. "You have the potential to become something exceptional, but it requires a leap of faith." Her heart raced again, trapped somewhere between soaring ambition and chilling dread. Could she accept his proposal, knowing full well the moral quagmire it entailed? How much of her integrity would she sacrifice to unearth her true potential? Jenna felt the walls of her mental fortress start to tremble, and her breath fell heavy as she confronted the magnitude of the decision before her. Could she forge a new identity from the ashes of her previous life, or would this initial step compromise everything she'd built? Her vision blurred momentarily, clarity slipping away as her thoughts turned to Vincent and the values he had instilled in her. But could the established rules apply in this treacherous new game? Locked in this internal conflict, Jenna sensed the ground shifting beneath her. "I need time to think," she murmured, grasping at any excuse to grant herself a moment of clarity. "Time is a luxury," Luca replied, his tone a mix of amusement and challenge. "Don't wait too long, Jenna. Opportunities are fleeting, and I won't hesitate to extend my hand to someone else who is ready." With that, he turned away, leaving Jenna grappling with the visceral aftermath of their encounter. Fear and exhilaration swirled in her, awakening an unsettling thrill. She was standing at the edge of unimaginable potential, yet the shadows of doubt pressed against her psyche like a thunderous drumbeat. What would she choose in the approaching silence? Would she succumb to the enticing lure of power, or would she cling to the foundations of her integrity, even as the dawn of an extraordinary life shimmered tantalizingly just out of reach? With this weighty dilemma hanging in the air, Jenna knew she was on the brink of a journey that would demand every ounce of her resolve. Would she be the orchestrator of her destiny, or would she become another puppet in the merciless game of ambition? The answers loomed ahead, shrouded in mystery. Jenna's journey had led her to the precipice of transformation, a place where ambition danced with integrity, and she was finally ready to confront the glimmering future before her. The weeks had passed, each day an exploration of the nuanced complexities of the world she now inhabited. With every engagement with Vincent and the unexpected encounter with Luca, she began to redefine herself not merely as an educator, constrained by past expectations, but as an architect of her own destiny. Her time spent with Vincent had instilled within her a robust understanding of strategy and the value of vigilance. He became not just a mentor but a mirror reflecting her burgeoning potential. Jenna's resolve had solidified into an indomitable force, capable of navigating the treacherous waters she now dared to sail. The girl who once feared the shadows had begun to see them not as adversaries, but as instruments of the light she intended to wield. One particularly rainy evening, while reviewing her notes in the living room, Jenna decided it was time to reach out to Luca again. The urgency of her ambitions demanded action. She crafted a carefully worded text, her heart racing as she typed. "I'm in. Let's talk about your offer." Sending the message felt both liberating and terrifying. It marked her commitment to embrace the unknown. The response came almost immediately, entangling her in a volatile mix of excitement and apprehension. "Meet me at the Cove tomorrow at 8 p.m. Bring your ambition." Jenna nodded, resolute. This meeting would mark a pivotal juncture, solidifying her emergence into a realm where she would master the balance of light and dark. On the night of their meeting, Jenna meticulously planned her approach. She dressed in a tailored outfit that fused professionalism with daring flair, a bold red blazer radiating confidence, alongside fitted trousers that echoed her determination. The reflection in the mirror was unfamiliar yet exhilarating. She was closer to becoming who she had always aspired to be. As she entered the Cove, a clandestine bar pulsating with energy and intrigue, she caught her reflection. The mirrored glass portrayed a woman transformed, fierce yet approachable. Jenna scanned the room and then locked eyes with Luca, whose presence dominated the surroundings with ease. "Glad you decided to join me," he drawled, his demeanor that of both invitation and challenge. "I'm here to explore the offer," Jenna replied, her voice steady despite the flicker of nerves that threatened to creep in. Exploring is a nuanced term. What you are embarking on is a commitment to power, a dance with the shadows. His words were edged with both allure and foreboding. Jenna inhaled deeply, centering herself. "I understand that, but I don't intend to lose who I am in the process. I want to influence change, not ignite destruction." Luca watched her, a glint of interest swirling in his gaze. "That's a delicate balance. Tell me how you plan to do that." The challenge was clear, he was testing her resolve right from the start. Jenna took a moment, feeling the weight of her schoolroom experience equipped with insights gathered over the years. She met the gaze of the most feared figure in the room with tenacity. Through strategic partnerships, authentic relationships, and a commitment to ethical engagements, I can leverage influence while maintaining my integrity. A flicker of surprise crossed Luca's face, followed by a shadowed smile. "You have a rare conviction. Most who step into this world abandon their principles. But a word of caution, rules are meant to be bent." Her heart raced at his admission. This was the crossroads. "I refuse to accept that the only way to be effective is through manipulation. I believe in leading with vision rather than deceit." Luca's eyebrows lifted knowingly, though a newfound respect flickered in his eyes. "You're one of a kind, Jenna. But recognizing ambition's cost is one thing, accepting it is another. I'm willing to face the consequences of my choices," Jenna stated firmly, fire igniting her conviction. "I'll navigate this landscape on my terms." With each passing moment, Jenna no longer felt like an outsider caught in a tumultuous storm. She was stepping into her power, ready to shape her fate. The external world, with its chaos and danger, couldn't overshadow the burgeoning strength within. Days turned into tumultuous weeks as Jenna embraced her new role, orchestrating initiatives that honored her values while testing her newfound assertiveness. She turned discussions with city officials into proposals for community programs that emphasized empowerment and support, aligning diverse interests toward genuine change. At one pivotal meeting, she stood with integrity at the forefront of her argument. "Listen, we're not merely seeking funding. We're promising a chance at a real difference. These kids deserve more than a fleeting assistance. They deserve mentorship and community." The room shifted, jaws tightened as her words cut through indifference, stirring engagement and support. In those moments, Jenna demonstrated that her ambition was not detached from her ethics. She had transformed from a timid teacher into a powerful voice for change, earning respect from skeptics who had once doubted her commitment. Not long after one particular meeting, Jenna received a call. Vincent wanted to meet as well. As she entered the cafe, the familiar aura of grounding and guidance washed over her. He scrutinized her, clearly impressed. "I see you're challenging the tides," he remarked approvingly. You're holding your ground. I am, she confirmed, feeling the empowerment of her journey wrap around her like a protective shield. You taught me that true strength doesn't cower from shadows, it learns to navigate them. Vincent nodded thoughtfully. You're discovering that the game is won not just through ambition, but also through alliances carved from respect. This is the foundation of true influence. As weeks turned into months, Jenna's efforts began to bear fruit. Community programs that fought against indifference and isolation flourished. Each step she took solidified her reputation, transforming her from a teacher burdened with expectations into a leader inspiring waves of change. The final test of her journey came one evening when she found herself at a gala, a pinnacle event where those with influence gathered. She wore the confidence she had cultivated like armor, mingling effortlessly with prominent figures and engaging in conversations that once intimidated her. Luca approached her amidst the crowd, admiration lacing his voice. You've carved your space, Jenna. There was sincerity in his tone, a recognition of her ascent. Thank you, Luca. But I did it through collaboration, not manipulation. That's what makes you unique. But don't forget, in this world, shadows lurk waiting to seize any weakness. I won, Jenna stated firmly. I found my strength in embracing the darkness. I won, let it consume me. As the evening wound down, Jenna glanced at her reflection in the ornate windows, a sense of profound satisfaction enveloping her. The path she had forged was not devoid of challenges, but she had learned to stand her ground, articulating her vision with an unshakable confidence. From an uncertain teacher burdened by expectations to a formidable figure leading change, her journey demonstrated that embracing the complexities of ambition and integrity could forge an unwavering sense of self-worth. Standing among the shadows, she had emerged not just alive, but thriving, and etched into the very fabric of her world was the indelible mark of her transformation. Now was the moment of action, the realization of her achievements beckoned for acknowledgement. Your journey awaits. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive emotional stories that inspire change. Leave a like now, your support fuels impactful narratives. Comment below with your thoughts and theories on Jenna's transformation. Engage and share in the conversation. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who dream of conquering their own shadows. True fans of personal overcoming stories understand the power of support. Show your commitment now.